My name is Bryan, and I am a R&D engineer here at AMS Performance. I probably would start out with the fact that I was really lucky. Like I'm, not 100% African American. My dad is black, also a quarter Cherokee. My mother's white, mostly Irish. And I grew up in a pretty diverse neighborhood. On my street, everybody was from everywhere. We had, kind of all walks of life, and it was a nice neighborhood. People were educated. They were nice to each other. So you grew up in this almost like bubble. I didn't really figure it out till I got to college, and things were a little bit more, how do you say it? Like less diverse, right? And when I got to college, it was more, okay, it's majority white, and people hung out more in groups. This group was together, this group was together, and they didn't commingle as much. So that part was actually stranger to me than, going and then mixing, right? I myself am mixed, but I was lucky because it gave you this almost like comfort with race, because my buddies and I could jab each other, about that, as kids are gonna do, right? But it helped you build that level of comfort, like, hey, we're just people. You look a little bit different. Your family's from over there. You guys make dinner a certain way, and then you could just get on with people. And it became, most of the people that I hung around with, it was because I liked you or I didn't, and people liked me or they didn't, and it was more based on your merits. And moving through college and into the professional world, I can't say that I really felt like I encountered a lot of barriers because of that. And maybe that makes me outstanding. Maybe not, but because I didn't experience, any specific barriers, and there's maybe something all the way behind the scenes somewhere. Somebody just felt like, no, screw that guy, I don't want to work with him. Or they just, were internally biased or whatever, but I never really experienced it outwardly. I mean, certainly there were moments in life where you do experience, some, pejorative comments, people being jerks and whatever, there's jerks everywhere. My first job was at a Porsche shop called TPC Racing. Shout out to Mike. I was there doing like a little bit of product design. I was, doing some trackside stuff. I was doing the JRZ rebuilds. I was helping customers with like JRZ setups. So it's very similar to kind of what I ended up doing, just a little bit of everything in that realm. And, funny enough, that shop was a couple minutes from my parents' house. And, in high school, you're always going by, dreaming about the race cars and going to the track and stuff. And I eventually, I get into school. I'm doing Formula SAE. That's amazing. For anybody, I think, any young person that wants to do motorsport and go to engineering school, I think Formula SAE is a fantastic program. Is it perfect? No, nothing is. But it's a great way not only to learn about the sport, but it's a great way to be a good general engineer. And I'm lucky that I got to do that with, some really amazing people. Yeah, the Formula SAE team was mostly white, certainly some other people there, myself, there's some Asian dudes, Indian dudes, but it never really was a thing. I can't remember any time anything was said outside of us just, jacking each other up, which you're gonna do, right? That's one of the beautiful things about Formula SAE. You have this team of people, you grow close, you're working hard towards a common goal. You become bonded over that instead of bonded over, whatever other external thing. And then you end up being able to joke about that external thing. You're there with the car, that's the mission. Make the car fast, get it done. So, for me, it was never a thing, right? It was never this division that existed. And there was never a moment where I thought somebody is, judging me for, how I look, what my background is. So, again, lucky in that I know a lot of other people that have had experiences like that, where, people say things, put them down, exclude them, whatever. So I was lucky not to have that. And then moving into the professional world, again, it was, racing's pretty white. But it's not like you get into it and you're like, oh, everybody here is white and I'm black. For sure, sometimes you go out, like you'll be like at like Daytona or something, and the drivers, the crew, the team, most people are white, and all of the people that are like working concessions are black. Not all, but you know what I mean. Like that's when you start to see black people, and you kind of think, that's not, I don't know exactly how I would want to say how I feel about that, but you certainly think maybe there is some impropriety. And it's such a complex issue. You can't point to one thing and be like, oh, well, there's the issue right there, that's gonna fix it. It's this person's fault, it's that group's fault, it's this political whatever, it's so layered. And one of the things that I think is great, just like, my experience in Formula SAE, working with the teams, coming here to AMS, and pretty much everywhere I've been, one of the great things about motorsports is it gives people like this common goal, a passion that kind of transcends most other things. You have money or not, black or white, your political leanings, it doesn't matter. Do you like going fast? Do you like making cool shit? Do you like winning? Do you like checkered flags and popping the champagne bottle and getting to post your record and having bragging rights? Awesome. Right this way. So it's not about, oh, this dude's black. Can you get me results? Yes or no? And that's what has always been fun. You're with this group of people that wants to just go get after it. And, you get judged on your merits. And I think that's it's a lesson for everybody. If you can take that and say, okay, let me just try to judge this person on their merits. If they're a good person, if they work hard, if they're making an effort, if they're smart, if they can bring something to the table, then, welcome. Conversely, you also have to be of value. You can't just say, I deserve this opportunity because. I think it can be intimidating because people are tribal. You want to go somewhere, be somewhere. You want someone to come in where people are like me, I'm like them, we're together. And so when you just visually see these people aren't like me, their skin color's different. And it can be not necessarily like a surface thought. It can be, all the way back in your head, something that kind of triggers that, like, you become a little bit more hesitant. You don't have as much confidence walking into the room. And I think that's difficult for everybody to keep in mind, those little tiny biases, because I think that's where a lot of the issues that you see start, are those little tiny things that you don't even realize is going through your mind and paying attention to that. So I think it's, when people try to get into motorsport, or, any field that's like, let's say has a greater proportion of people than your average, population makeup, you are going to be a little bit more hesitant, and people feel like they have to work even harder. Women feel like they have to work harder to get the same pay. Black people feel like they have to work harder to get the same pay or to get a promotion or to earn a position here, and certainly the numbers bear some of that out. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, you're going to find good people. You're going to find regular people that just want to, make a living, come home to their family. You're going to find bad people. Life is complicated that way. And I think it's up to the good people and the people in the middle to do their best to help the bad people that don't understand, right, that have ignorant views. If you have ignorant views, that just simply means you're uneducated. Educate somebody. Show them the way. If you just keep spitting hatred at each other across the battle lines of Facebook, you're going to step backwards and not forwards. But if we want to make a difference, just keep doing what you're doing. If you feel like you want to do more, go help somebody. Open a door. Like a shiny Facebook post or e-blast isn't going to do shit, right? That's just thoughts and prayers. It makes you feel better, right? It doesn't do anything for anybody else. So, and they're starting to do that. They're researching ways, and that's how you make actual change. Educate people, help them. If you see a group of people who the door isn't opening for, pull on the knob a little bit. Open that door up for them. Let them, at least give them the opportunity to walk through it, and maybe a little bit of confidence. Listen, man, you can do that. You got to do it. I'm not going to do it for you, but it's right over there. That door's open. You just got to push it open, go through. And that's real change. People generally, I think, believe that they're doing the right thing. So if it's a little bit over here, right, and we think we should be this way, talk to them, have that conversation. The right way is probably in between anyway. There might be some stuff you're doing, they're like, hey man, why are you doing it like that? That openness and that dialogue is what makes things actually better. And that's something like, when you have a passion for cars, when you have the passion that we do for making great stuff, for competing, it transcends that. It opens that door to conversation. It opens that door to like knowing somebody a little bit better and realizing like that's just a person. I was joking with Cam before we started. It's like, oh, we're going to do like a little, thing on what it was like to, be black in this industry. And I said, well, it's probably just like I'm, using a little bit less sunscreen. Because for me, it really was like, I don't feel that it was different, but I see that it can be different for others. So I know that I'm lucky and in some ways unique because of that. And it's funny, like I had a shower thought to myself, like, I should help more people, My fiance is just fantastic. We just had a beautiful baby boy. I work at AMS. I fucking love it. It's fun as shit. Every day it's a good time. We're doing cool things. I'm happy. And there's people that aren't. There's people that do need that helping hand. And like, man, we gotta, we should probably do something. And that makes, again, the world better. People are happier, more productive. Everyone makes more money. Everyone's more comfortable. You're gonna fight less, right? I guess, doing the engineering videos and being the quote unquote, like face of the company in our product department. Again, I'm lucky, right? I'm lucky that I was born with an ability to look at numbers, mechanical things, have that mind for what I do, and also be able to speak. I've become more comfortable with that, with public speaking or being on camera. And, as vitriolic and horrible as YouTube comments are, and not that I read them frequently, but I haven't really seen anything, So for me, it doesn't really register that, oh, well, here's, a guy with brown skin talking about heat exchangers. In my mind, it's like, here's a dude talking about heat exchangers. It's really easy to shirk your responsibility to make things better, to, kind of pass off the fact that these issues do exist. There's so many tiny little factors. And of course, everybody's busy, right? So I feel like if you're just making an effort to be a good person, I'm not perfect. I've made loads of mistakes, but I try to learn from them. I try to do a little bit better every day, and I think that should be just the general goal. Not, you did this to me, My father went to segregated schools, but I'm not going to go run around and said, you did that to him. The people that made those rules are dead and gone. Are there knock-on effects from that in society? 100%. But let's just go address those. Right or wrong thing. Let's do that instead. Understand the people that we're around. Be good to each other. It's an ongoing project. Somebody's always the disenfranchised group. Somebody's always the powerful group. It changes. It's the human dynamic. I mean, if we want to think that our situation is unique, pick up a history book and discover that it's not. It's been back and forth for our entire history, and I think some things have gotten better, on average. But, I think if we can stay with being a better person and making a real effort to understand the people around us, which it's nice even saying that because I'm already thinking, you know what, I'm not understanding this person over here. Maybe I should ask myself why a little bit more often, right? Open up some of that discourse. And, overall, like I want to thank, Lance, Max, and Martin for bringing me in here. It's a wonderful place to work, and it sets a good example for others. If you treat your people this way, if you build this kind of culture, you're not worried about who's from where. You're worried about results. You're worried about banding together for a common goal. If more organizations do that, if more small, human tribes do that, the world becomes better. Yeah, I wouldn't be shy about like, well, this motorsport industry is mostly white. I'm not going to try. You're going to get the same answer either way, right? The worst thing people can say is no. Right? But you're going to get told no a million times in your life, no matter what you end up doing. If you want to be successful, you're going to hear no way more than you're going to hear yes. You're going to fail way more times than you're going to succeed. You're going to learn along the way. If you get lucky, you might just go shoot off to the moon instantly, right? But that's not common. Normally the path is up and down, gradually upward, so take that chance. Eventually you'll find, the Martin Musials of the world that don't give a shit where you're from if you bring something to the table, and the fact of the matter is some people do have bias. And you are going to have to make that effort to transcend that bias. But by doing so, you not only make an opportunity for yourself, but you make an opportunity for everybody behind you, because once you transcend that bias, you do a very, very big job in eliminating it within that person. Oh, that guy was good, right? Maybe I should change my thinking a little bit. And that's how things get progressively better. It does require work. Most good things do. I was lucky because most of my generations before me did the work, right? They were slaves, segregated, not given as much opportunity legally, right? Then not given as much opportunity just culturally. Did it anyway. Popped me out into a good neighborhood, and boom, here I am at AMS. I'm the lucky one. And I think there's a lot more people that are not so lucky that probably need some, a little bit more help.